Welcome to our comprehensive biological exploration of microbiology, non-infectious pathologies and human defense. Today we will uncover the intricate dynamics between invisible microorganisms and human physiology. We'll study how our bodies leverage beneficial bacteria, track how virulent pathogens transmit through populations, look at the mechanics of non-infectious illnesses, and detail the brilliant cellular army protecting us. Let us begin by analyzing how microscopic organisms can actually serve as vital biological allies. When we think of microorganisms, we often think of illness and disease. However, did you know that many microbes are actually vital biological allies for our bodies? Symbiotic microorganisms live on and inside us, forming a natural shield that prevents dangerous pathogens from multiplying. Useful bacteria concentrated in hair follicles protect our skin surface, while large internal populations maintain our digestive tract, providing critical physiological benefits to keep us functioning smoothly every single day. Where do harmful pathogens hide before they infect us? In biology, we call these sources as environmental reservoirs. Interestingly, human beings act as the primary reservoir for diseases affecting other humans, often spreading pathogens silently through symptoms free individuals known as carriers. Animals also serve as a reservoir, transferring dangerous viruses like influenza and rabies directly to people. Additionally, non-living elements such as soil, contaminated water, or food can harbor these invisible threats. Infectious diseases are a constant battle between our bodies and invasive organisms. Pathogens come in various shapes, including bacteria, viruses, protozoans, or fungi. For instance, tetanus is caused by a soil-dwelling bacterium that enters deep wounds, while strep throat attacks our respiratory system through respiratory droplets. Viruses lead to conditions like rabies or chickenpox, and protozoans cause malaria via mosquito vectors. Even fungi play a role, causing uncomfortable infections like athlete's foot. When infectious diseases begin to spread across a population, epidemiologists look closely at specific data patterns to classify them. An endemic disease is one that is continually present in small predictable amounts within a specific population. However, if a sudden large-scale outbreak afflicts many people within a local region, it upgrades to an epidemic. When an epidemic completely escapes its boundaries, spreading globally across multiple continents, it's become a pandemic. Meet the frontline soldiers of your immune system. This table breaks down the three major types of white blood cells keeping you safe every single day. First up are neutrophils. Think of them as the rapid response team. They use a process called phagocytosis to literally hunt down and ingest invading bacteria. Next, we have macrophages. These are the heavy-duty cleanup crew. Not only do they ingest bacteria, but they also clear out dead neutrophils and cellular debris left behind after a battle. Finally, lymphocytes handle specific immunity. They are the tactical geniuses that produce targeted antibodies and special chemicals to destroy precise pathogens. 3 cells, one ultimate defense system. Lymphatic system acts as the body's ultimate filtration and defense network. composed of specialized organs, vessels, and tissues. Its primary job is to filter lymph, fluid, and blood while actively destroying foreign invaders. Lymphocytes, our critical white blood cells, are born with the red bone marrow. From there, they populate essential immune structures including your lymph nodes, tonsils, spleen, and thymus gland, alongside diffused lymphatic tissues. Our specific immune system works like an advanced manufacturing and communication network. B lymphocytes act as specialized antibody factories located throughout our lymphatic tissue. When a threat emerges, activated helper T cells bind to matching antigens and attach directly to these B cells. This physical interaction triggers the B cells to rapidly manufacture targeted proteins called antibodies. These custom antibodies bind to invading microorganisms, marking them for destruction. Vaccinations are a monumental achievement in public health. Protecting us from devastating illness, immunizations like the DPT vaccine shield us from diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis using inactivated toxins and bacteria. The polio and MMR vaccine deliver inactivated viruses to safely train our immune system against poliomyelitis, measles, mumps, and rubella. By introducing these harmless components, vaccines stimulate our body's primary immune response, establishing long-term memory cells to fight real-world infection. Not all illnesses are caused by contagious pathogens invading our bodies. Non-infectious diseases arise from genetics, environment, or aging. For example, genetic disorders like hemophilia stem from inherited chromosomal errors. Degenerative conditions like osteoarthritis happen when joints naturally wear down over time. Meanwhile, metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes involve broken biochemical pathways, and cancers trigger completely abnormal, uncontrolled cell growth across any tissue, heavily disrupting our core physiological process. The table classifies non-infectious diseases into 5 major categories based on their underlying biological causes and mechanism. Genetic disorders stem from inherited mutations or errors in genes and chromosome. Examples include sickle cell anemia, hemophilia, Down syndrome, and coronary artery disease. Degenerative diseases results from the gradual wear and tear or breakdown of body tissues and organs over time, typically driven by aging. A primary example is degenerative arthritis, or also called as osteoarthritis. Metabolic diseases caused by malfunctioning in biochemical pathways that disrupt body's ability to break down or utilize nutrients and chemicals. Example includes phenylketonuria and type 2 diabetes. Cancer, characterized by abnormal uncontrolled cell division and growth that forms tumors or spread through the body, triggered by genetic and environmental factors. Examples include skin, lungs, and breast cancer, as well as leukemia, also called as blood cancer. Coronary artery disease, CAD, is a complex multifactorial cardiovascular condition that can block the arteries supplying oxygenated blood to the heart muscle. Although the exact genetic mechanism are unknown, A family history of CAD significantly escalates susceptibility, increasing an individual's risk by 2 to 7 times. Ultimately, development of the condition relies on a combination of these genetic risks working alongside environmental lifestyle factors, specifically poor diet and physical inactivity. Our immune system occasionally makes critical mistakes by attacking harmless targets. Allergies are intense hypersensitive reactions to environmental antigen like pollen, dust, mites, or food. In extreme cases, this triggers dangerous anaphylactic shock, constricting our respiratory airways. Similarly, autoimmune disorder happen when the body mistakenly manufactures destructive antibodies against its own healthy tissues. This includes rheumatoid arthritis, destroying finger joints, lupus, attacking vital organs, and rheumatic fever, severely damaging heart walls. How do scientists prove a specific microbe actually causes a disease? Robert Koch established 4 brilliant experimental rules to demonstrate this biological link. First, the suspect pathogen must be isolated from every diseased host. Second, it must grow perfectly in a pure lab culture. Third, injecting this culture into a healthy host must replicate the exact same disease. Finally, the pathogen must be re-isolated, providing its characteristics match the original culprit. Pathogens use clever tactics to move between hosts and maximize their survival. Direct contact transfers viruses like herpes or mononucleosis through immediate physical touch. Conversely, indirect transmission happens when tiny mucus droplets float through the air from coughs or contaminate everyday surfaces. Finally, living vectors like arthropods act as biological vehicles. Biting mosquito rapidly spread the Zika virus and malaria, while ticks transfer Lyme disease directly into human bloodstream. The provided table organizes common human infectious diseases by their pathogen types, target organ, and transmission method. Bacterial diseases: tetanus, nervous system via deep wounds; strep throat, respiratory system via droplets; and Lyme disease, skeletal or nervous system via ticks. Viral diseases: chickenpox, which spreads through skin, and influenza, respiratory, both spread by droplets; rabies, nervous system via animal bites; and hepatitis B, liver via body fluids. Protozoan, giardia, digestive tract via contaminated water; and malaria, blood or liver via mosquitoes. Fungal disease: athlete's foot affects the skin through direct or object contact. The table outlines 3 primary methods of disease transmission. Direct contact includes pathogens spread directly between people via physical interaction. Example includes colds, mononucleosis, herpes, and STDs. Indirect contact includes pathogens who travel through the air via cough or sneeze droplets or survive on surfaces like colds. Mitigating relies on hand washing, sanitization, and food safety regulation. Vectors: arthropods carry the transmit pathogens, Mosquitoes spread Zika and West Nile virus, tick transmits Lyme diseases, and flies mechanically transfer pathogen from waste to food. Antibiotics like penicillin and erythromycin are powerful weapons that kill or inhibit bacterial growth. However, a major medical crisis is unfolding as bacteria rapidly evolve antibiotic resistance. Dangerous strains of gonorrhea, tuberculosis, and MRSA inside hospital walls are becoming completely immune to standard treatments because these stubborn pathogens survive frontline medication. Scientists must continuously research brand new chemical solutions to prevent common bacterial infections from becoming entirely untreatable and fatal. Why do you feel terrible ache, cough, and sneeze when you catch the flu? These uncomfortable symptoms occur because invading viruses have actively breached your body's physical barriers. The virus enters healthy host cells, multiplies rapidly, and exits by either utilizing cellular exocytosis or causing the cells to violently burst. This process destroys critical tissues, kills healthy cells, and releases harmful toxins, triggering your immune system's defensive, painful inflammatory warning. Before your body launches a targeted attack, its general non-specific immunity fights any invader immediately. This immediate frontline defense relies on physical barriers like the skin and chemical barrier like stomach acid. If pathogen break through, cellular defenses take over. Patrolling phagocytes engulf invaders via phagocytosis, while complement protein puncture holes in the foreign membrane. Simultaneously, virus-infected cells secrete protective interferon protein, signaling neighboring cells to block further viral replication. Look at how your body physically destroys invading pathogens. Complement proteins from your blood plasma target a foreign cell and bind together. They lock right into its plasma membrane, forming a massive open pore or channel. With this sudden defensive breach, extra fluid rapidly rushes straight inside the cell. The intense internal pressure builds instantly until the entire pathogen bursts open and is completely destroyed. That is microscopic warfare in action. The table outlines body's dual defense line against pathogen. Non-specific immunity, first line, present at birth, it often immediate broad protection. It utilizes physical barriers like skin, chemical defense like lysozyme, stomach acid, phagocytic cell like neutrophil, macrophage, and general biochemical responses like complement protein, interferon, and inflammation to block or slow down any invading pathogen. Specific immunity is the second line of defense. It develops over the time for a targeted, highly effective response. Relying on the lymphatic system, it deploys B cells to manufacture antigen-specific antibodies and helper T cells to activate defenses and neutralize precise threats. Immune cells never fight dangerous pathogens in isolation. They rely on sophisticated communication network. When a macrophage digests a pathogen, it displays the antigen on its surface, transforming into an antigen-presenting cell. It then performs a cellular handshake with the helper T cell commander. Upon binding, the cell releases chemical signaling proteins called cytokines. These molecular loudspeakers instruct B cells to produce targeted antibodies and order cytotoxic T cells to destroy compromised host cell. Helper T cells act as the commanders of immune response, recognizing antigen only when presented by an antigen presenting cell, or also called as APC. Like a macrophage, activation occurs in two stages. Direct contact. A specific helper T cell physically binds to a matching antigen displayed on the macrophage. Chemical signaling. Once activated, helper T cells direct two distinct tactile branches of specific immunity via chemical signaling. B cell response, that is antibody production. An antigen matched B cell binds to an activated helper T cell. Cytokine signal triggers the B cell to proliferate and differentiate into plasma cells, which mass produce targeted antibodies to neutralize extracellular pathogens. Cytotoxic T cells, cell destruction. Cytokines target cytotoxic killer T cells, activating them to track down and destroy infected or cancerous host cells. To coordinate responses, immune cells rely on two distinct modalities. Surface receptor, which is also called as the handshake, highly specific physical docking mechanism like T cells receptors binding to APC antigen. Ensure activation occurs only for genuine threats, preventing damage to healthy tissues. Cytokines and chemical messengers, which is also called as the loudspeaker, soluble proteins that act as alerts instructing neighboring cells to multiply, migrate, or destroy targets. Post-clearance suppressive signals halt the response, leaving behind long-lived memory cells for rapid future defense. Our immune system can acquire protection through two primary methods: passive or active immunity. Passive immunity offers temporary or immediate defense by introducing pre-made antibodies such as a mother nursing her infant or clinical antivenom injections. Conversely, immunity provides long-lasting permanent protection. It triggers when your body fights an actual infectious disease or receives a vaccine, prompting your system to build its own powerful enduring pool of protective memory. Human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV, is a secondary immunodeficiency disease that targets and destroys helper T cells. Because helper T cells act as a general commander coordinating specific immunity, losing them completely cripples your immune defense. The virus hijacks these cells, converting them into replication factories, and eventually causes them to burst. This progressive destruction leaves the human body entirely vulnerable to secondary opportunistic infection. How does a HIV infection progress increase inside the body over time? The initial early phase lasts about 6 to 12 weeks, featuring rapid viral replication that can trigger fever and night sweats. Afterward, a prolonged latent phase begins, lasting up to 10 years. Although patients appear completely healthy and show zero clinical symptoms during latency, active viral replication continues quietly, allowing the disease to be transmitted. given table shows a summary of non-infectious diseases. This material outlines 5 categories of non-infectious diseases classified by their underlying causes. Genetic disorders stem from inherited chromosomal or gene errors, for example, sickle cell anemia, Down syndrome. Degenerative diseases involve tissues or organs breakdown over time, often due to aging. Example, osteoarthritis. Metabolic diseases arise from disrupted biochemical pathways affecting nutrient processing. Example, type 2 diabetes, phenylketonuria or commonly called as PKU. Cancer, driven by uncontrolled abnormal cell growth forming tumors. Inflammatory diseases occur when the immune system mistakenly triggers harmful inflammation or attacks self tissues, for example, allergies or lupus. The given slide talks about cancer. Definition: cancer is defined by uncontrolled abnormal growth of cells. It is not restricted to one area. It can form any tissues, organs or blood cells within the body. The development of cancer is driven by a combination of both genetic inheritance and environmental influence. Rheumatoid arthritis, an autoimmune condition where antibodies attack joints causing structural damage, finger deformities and large knobs. It is explicitly distinguished from non-autoimmune degenerative arthritis. Rheumatic fever, an inflammatory disorder where antibodies mistakenly target and damage heart walls, resulting in leaking or improper closing during blood flow. The third in this category is lupus, a systemic disorder featuring autoantibodies that attack healthy tissues across the entire body, leaving multiple organs vulnerable to immune-driven destruction. Here is a summary of antibiotic-resistant pathogens. Gonorrhea, now completely resistant to penicillin, requiring entirely new drug therapies. Staphylococcal disease and MRSA, increasingly multi-drug resistant, causing severe skin infection, pneumonia or meningitis in high-density areas and dangerous hospital-acquired infection. Respiratory pathogens, Streptococcus pneumonia resists standard treatment for pneumonia, sinus and bloodstream infection. Similarly, the bacterium causing tuberculosis show high resistance to initial frontline antibiotics. Passive immunity provides immediate short-term protection via pre-made antibodies. Natural examples include placental transfer or breast milk, while clinical uses include post-exposure injections for hepatitis, tetanus, rabies or venoms. It degrades once the immune system matures or antibodies break down. Active immunity offers long-lasting protection triggered by antigen exposure, creating memory cells. It is acquired naturally by surviving an infection or artificially via vaccine, weakened pathogen, and extended through booster shots. The text contrasts two distinct immune scenarios based on their function and outcomes. Inflammatory response, a helpful defense mechanism naturally triggered by infectious disease. Its objective is to enhance the immune response to clear invading bacteria or microorganisms from the body. On the other hand, inflammatory disease, an unhelpful pathological state where the body mounts an abnormal or misplaced reaction to a common substance, manifesting as conditions like allergies and autoimmunity. In conclusion, mastering the intricate relationship between human cells and microscopic entities is foundational to advancing modern medical science. By exploring beneficial symbiosis, tracking viral and bacterial path, solving genetic anomalies, and detailing internal lymphatic communication, we gain the tools required to combat emerging public health challenges. I hope this PowerPoint will help you in studying for your exam. Best of luck.